to the release 2 milestone.
Okay, cool.
Let's see. Let me. I should. Let me bring up the list I'm looking at. Which is. It is this list. So I just moved the 3 I mentioned into the release 2. Next one, I originally called this future plans, but I've now retitled it roadmap because that's what you called it. So,
Yeah.
do you think we should get a roadmap section up?
I know he would like to see that. Yeah, let's I guess tag that as a documentation thing and then put that in release 2.
Okay. Revisit how to show an application is stopping issue. Do we want to revisit that? Is that? Yeah. Do we want to revisit that?
Well, actually, Jirka is working on that, and we're trying to prepare some wireframes for that. So
okay,
it's under the process.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of the polling approach.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I was wondering about that. Okay. Next one, bring icon font to use with WingMonkey.
I think this can be postponed.
Okay.
Okay.
Application details page update to be more substantial.
Question is when we want to have the second release.
Yeah, I arbitrarily put it for the end of this month for now, but I mean, I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 2 months, I have no idea.
Let's put this on low priority, and if there's time and
Yeah.
if it's needed, then we can do it.
And regarding timing, I think it would be better to release more often with smaller steps instead of having the release in 2 months.
Okay. So, I mean, I tentatively put it for February 26th to be the end of this milestone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say let's release when we have what's to release. So
Yeah, no, that definitely
when we have some substantial features up, why not to release?
Yeah.
And, I mean, that makes sense. I guess the question is, maybe once we have a sense of what's actually going to be released to, we can make a better estimate of how long we think it'll take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Revisit packaging. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. Do we want to revisit our packaging methodology, or just?
Maybe this should be changed to like I don't know, like continuous integration or something like that. So.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess it should be in. It needs to be in release 2.
Okay.
We need to get something set up for that.
Okay. So next one, overt support stopping a VM in the vert, support launching a new VM in the vert. Does that sound reasonable?
I think we're trying to target overt for this release, so we should have those in there.
Okay. Publicize with the appropriate cabals. Yeah, I mean that's something I'll be doing between releases.
Okay.
So I'll just put it there for now. QE cycle. I remember Angus saying that he thought it might be possible to get a QE cycle. That's why I put it here, but
I'm not going to hold my breath. Let's
okay.
let's put that off, and we can cycle back with Angus and just figure out what the possibilities are.
Okay. Do you think it'd be a good idea at some point to like get an outside like Red Hat, a random Red Hat AOS person to just try and install things and follow instructions and see if he has comments like feedback?
Yeah, you mean like something? either another developer or a QE to try to do it?
Yeah, either one. Like something not really all that formal, but just to get like a general impression.
Yeah, it would be. Do you want to put that as a task in this
Sure.
for this release?
Sure.
I don't know how to phrase that, but
Grab a developer to test stuff out, to test and start. Okay. So next items are support history for providers that supported and support quota for providers that provided.
Regarding the history, I will post upon this one.
Okay.
And for quota, depends how difficult it would be.
I guess it depends. What do we mean by support quota? Do we display it or do we try and enforce it as well?
I think supporting quota means that you are able to. Sorry, Jirka, can you?
Yeah.
Please mute the microphone.
Sorry.
Okay. I think supporting quota means that you have some quota and you are not able to launch more applications than you are allowed to launch. So I think this is bigger task. It's not just about displaying the quota, but also restricting your permissions or ability to launch stuff.
Okay. I sort of think that it could also be, well, I think we could rely on the back-end provider to throw us an error if we tried to go, like, you know, if it showed you only have quota to launch 2 more, and they try to launch 5. Hopefully the back-end provider could come back and say, nope, you can't do that. But I mean, it would be a terrible user experience to say, oh, you were able to do that, and then have some administrator come running down and breathing down your neck about shutting some things down. So, yeah.
So from a user experience point of view, so I think what you're saying is true. The underlying provider should prevent the user from doing something like that. But from a user experience point of view, is that optimal? Like to allow a user to go through the process and then without stopping him, and then only stopping him once he actually tries to launch it?
No, I mean, I definitely don't think it is optimal.
I think this could be just the second level of validation, because we could ask the provider if the current user has still some quota left, and if he doesn't, we can not enable him to launch anything anymore. But it can happen that the quota is fulfilled while he is on the page and doing stuff. So that's when the second validation would come in with the error from the provider when he tries to launch something. But I think we can easily check if the provider has some quota left when displaying things, and when, for example, a user clicks that he decides to launch, or we can disable the launch button when the quota is not when it's full.
Yeah, but I think it is a little bit more complex. I think that we can set a lower priority for this and deal with this in the end of release if we do that. Because I think supporting more functionalities, for example, like stopping, cloning applications, and supporting more providers is more important for now, for us.
So the problem there is that the RubyGem, the OpenStack RubyGem, currently doesn't have support for quotas. This doesn't return that information, but I looked into it, and getting it into there isn't hard. But because it's not there yet, I think that process would take longer than just like a couple days at the end, because you need to get that into the OpenStack gem and make sure that's approved and make sure that's deployed somehow.
So what it kind of sounds like is we've got a couple different things to figure out. We probably need to figure out what we mean by support quota, and then also kind of go through some level of effort discussions. So maybe by the end of this release, we need to have at least a plan put together for how to make quotas integrated, but not necessarily have the implementation done. Does that sound fair?
That's fair. Actually, it'd be kind of cool if we could have a plan and demonstrate it through the mock provider, and then build out kind of like the interface, like how the code interacts, and then in successive releases, all we had to do is put the relevant code in for the relevant providers in the right places. Would that make sense?
Yoda, what do you think? Do you think that would be something that either you or Jeremy could look into for this release? Just like the.
Definitely. I'm currently working on some enhancements in UX. I'm dealing with wireframes, so adding one more feature is not a big deal right now.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll write down plan and implement for mock provider, and then document how to do it for what other providers would need for future releases.
Yep.
Okay. So history we are putting off for now. Is that correct, or are we?
Yes.
Okay. So next issues, discuss storing additional state.
I just the Jenny's.
So, Greg, this was something that you brought up earlier.
Yeah, I think this might need to maybe involve discussions with the Delta Cloud guys to figure out what their plans are as far as trying to store state information, and then can we try to leverage that. Let's go ahead and leave it for release 2, or move it into release 2, and we'll kind of define the meaning of it as we go.
Okay.
Just by the way, Greg, what do you mean by storing additional state?
This kind of comes down to if we want to try to hold on to history of things that have been launched, or comes down to monitoring and tracking of running instances. So it ties back into the support history for providers that support it.
Yeah, I get it. It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm probably going to create a new label planning for the items where we're going to plan things out, but not necessarily implement anything for the current release. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. So let's see. Next one is support rev. Wait. And support OpenStack with heat. Are those just going to be for future stuff, or do we want to try and get that in there as well?
I think the heat is the sound of future.
Yeah, I would like to say that heat could actually happen, but I think I'm with Yurka on this one, that it probably needs to be pushed off.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of fine with. I don't know. I kind of think maybe. I was thinking maybe one provider per release, and because I kind of feel like ancillary issues will keep popping up. And okay. Let's see. Index page application poll application status. That's I'm assuming is for release 2, so it's put there. Pagination. Do we want that for release 2?
Well, I already hit that issue in my wireframes, so I think the implementation would be that hard. Do you think, Jeffrey?
I think this can be taken care of also in the polling and AngularJS for.
Okay. Let's see. Allow provider connect to retry. I remember. Oh yeah, I put it in there because of the experience I have with an OpenStack instance. I mean, is this something we want to support?
So it depends on how bad this was. Like for how bad the problem was that you ran into.
What happened to you?
Sorry.
What happened to you? What was the problem?
So when I was testing against the first OpenStack instance I tested against, it would constantly drop. I would constantly try and connect, and it would say unable to connect. But if I reloaded the page, it would connect. So at the time, I wasn't sure if that was something that might happen with most OpenStack instances that we should deal with, or it was just a property of this particular one that I connected to.
So I guess this all comes down to resiliency, right? I mean, we should probably start trying to think about that to some degree. So maybe let's go ahead and add this into release 2, just so we have an idea. I mean, this may crop up for all kinds of providers. We may want to try to reconnect at least like once or twice, and if we can't, then throw an error to the user.
Okay.
Yeah, this sounds fair.
Let's see. Next one. Indicate provider type on every page. This is something I thought might be a good idea, just because in theory the name you put for the provider might not mention OpenStack or Conductor or anything. And so I don't know. You think?
I will try to hit that in my wireframes as well.
Okay. Make explanatory text blocks collapsible.
Yes, I would like to take care of this one. It shouldn't be that hard to do, and I would basically make them closable on click, and then also the user could decide on clicking the separate link that he doesn't want to see these hints anymore anywhere on the page.
Okay. Home page when you have no applications. Let's see. So when you have no applications, create a banner for the section that points to the launch button.
Yeah,
I think
I don't know what stage Jeremy is in. I'll talk to him on Thursday, but I think he said that he will try to communicate with someone from UX team and to prepare some banner for us or something. So maybe keep it in the release too, and we will see what Jeremy will say.
Let's see. The last two items are conductor related. My view is that I don't think it doesn't sound like it's done yet.
I will post up on that.
Okay. So that's all the items from the future release list. And in terms of other stuff people have brought up, organize. I can just put these stuff in things like organize views, mobile UI, remove the create method from provider model, and then messaging, like help define our message and put it on the web page and stuff. If that's something controversial, I can just put all this stuff in there.
Yeah, I think they all sound like they should be in the release. The one thing that I personally don't know if it would fit is the mobile stuff. So, Yarda, do you have an opinion on that?
I'll try to work on that quite intensively. And I don't think that it is a big deal. I think I can handle that in this release, the mobile version for that.
Cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
I want to bring it as soon as possible, so we don't have to deal that much later on. If we do new feature, we will take care about the mobile and we will do it step by step, and we don't have to put much effort later on. So right now there is not much features to deal with, so I think I will manage that.
Sounds good.
But it will be just the responsive web design. It will not be the native app.
Okay.
but still, that one is fairly workable on the phone. Like you still have to run it on the browser, but it's very user friendly, so pretty usable.
Yeah, exactly. It looks mostly like native app. It just doesn't have its own icon on mobile. You have to launch browser, but it looks like native app.
Okay, well, I think that's everything for the release 2 planning stuff. Do you guys have time to go through the mobile wireframe demo?
Yeah, sure. I can make it short. Once Angus or Hugh are here, we can do it one more time. I don't know.
Angus said he's not going to be able to make it, so I'll show him the recording, or he can just look it up on
Okay.
YouTube. Which
Yeah, no problem.
kind of sucks. I wish they were here, but
Yeah. All right. Then I'll share the screen. If you want more details, you can open that from the email I sent yesterday. So, do you see everybody? My screen? Perfect. So this is the first set when user comes to the mobile displays the login page, where the first step is to select your provider. Very the same. Once you select the provider, you are going to enter your username and password. Until you enter both of them, the login button would be disabled. Once you enter both of them, the login button will enable, and it will get you to the main page, which is this one here, where you have a sticky header, which I would like to stay there all the time. Where is the search button? Because on mobile phone you don't have that good orientation as on your desktop screen, so you are very easily able to get things searched in the first place, and you have sort of menu here. Then you have the list of applications in the first place, where you can you have a primary button to add new application at the first time. You can sort the applications. I have their manual update, which by polling stuff from Mirka will not be needed anymore. So this will get very likely rid of. We can get rid of that and use filtering, for example, applications instead of that. And then there is list of applications with very simple information of status, name of application, and the icon which indicates that the box is expandable. Once you click a box, for example, mock application free, it will expand. You have functions what to do with your application. You can pause it, terminate, clone, depends what functions we support. You have additional information which you need. The status, uptime, cost, pretty much everything what we have right now, but a little bit in different order, and you can access the application details from there. I put here the delete button as well outside the main functions, so the user can't misuse it by accident. But lately what we were discussing with Jurka, leaving the applications there once they are terminated doesn't sound like a good idea for me, for example, because when you terminate your application and leave it in WinkMonkey, you have different lists than you have, for example, in OpenStack when you enter the OpenStack. And I think we need to copy what OpenStack displays. So if we stop the application and it doesn't appear at OpenStack list, we shouldn't keep it in our list as well.
One note to this. We basically are not keeping this application in our list. It is there just until the page is refreshed. Then it synchronizes with the provider and it's updated. But again, this can be resolved with the polling and AngularJS.
Yeah, I know. I was just getting to Jeremy's wireframes, which were indicating the deleting of the application. So I put the button there, but I don't think it will be needed in the future with the Angular JS. So this was the detail of the application. I wouldn't like to download the whole list of applications at once, so we get better user experience, that the application is faster when the user reaches the end of number of the applications available. It will auto-download for him. If it will be difficult to do that, we can substitute this function with with button see another, for example, 7 applications, or see all applications if user wants to get to the whole list of applications. But getting the shorter list of applications will enable us to enhance user experience, that the application is faster itself. So this was application details. Here I have the search function. Once user clicks the search, there will come the search toolbox at the top, and the list of applications or the main screen will fade out, so it's inactive. You can focus on the searching, and once you tap on the search button or anywhere else on the screen which is faded, the search box will go away. So this is search function. Here is menu. Once you click the menu button, again it is pretty similar as search. It will come from the right. You will see the user details. You can log out, and you will get the menu which we already have right now in the footer. But I don't want to have a footer at the mobile applications, since there is list of applications and it is auto downloading for you, so you are hard to reach the footer at the mobile at the moment. So here is sort of menu, so you can report a bug, you can read documentation, license information. It depends on what links you will have here. So this was menu. Again, clicking back on the menu button or somewhere else at the faded application will get rid of the menu. And here is launching process, which we have right now. You will click the launch button. You will get to the first step. I changed a little bit the 3-step navigation, so here is the first step, which is highlighted, and it indicates that you have second and third step, which are inactive right now because you didn't get there. You will select the launchable which you want to launch. Once you click there, you will get to the second step. The first step is again accessible because you can get back. You have overview what launchable you selected, which we already have right now, and you will have the form of the features you need to fill in, which is what already is implemented in Alchemy, the responsive forms, and big deploy launchable button. Once you hit it, you will get to the overview page, where it is again copying what we already have. A desktop version, information about success, some details of the application, and what to do next with the application. See the application detail, list of my applications, etc. etc. So basically, everything what is here is copying what we already have in the UI. It's just a matter of restructuring a little bit and adapting to the mobile device. But I think that's everything. But I think it's pretty easy. It's very useful for us. And if we have the mobile version right now and we are adding new features, we will think in a way that we need also mobile users to have good user experience, and we will not do it complicated also for the desktops. So I would like to bring these as soon as possible, and once we add new feature, we will think mobile first as well. And adding the feature to the desktop, adapt that straightly to the mobile as well. That's everything.
Yeah, I think that's a really good approach. I think it'll keep the UI simple on the desktop side, and won't clutter things up on the desktop side by making sure we keep it focused on the mobile. I like that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, also it looks really nice.
So guys, if you have a couple of minutes, I'd like to talk about the polling and several approaches we can take on how to implement this.
Yeah.
Okay. So not it. Not it. So I have three approaches how to do polling. The common thing about polling is that we will every time we will do the actual sending the JavaScript request for every 15 seconds or whatever we decide, and this will be done recursively. So after one finishes, the another one is initiated again. So this is common, and I think it should be done definitely by JavaScript. And then there are three approaches. The first one is which is already implemented. That's the one with the which is done only by Rails, and it is the one when the application responds with the piece of HTML which is then replaced in the page. This has a few mistakes or this is not much convenient because right now it means that we will refresh the whole list of the provider applications. So I've been searching and found the AngularJS to save us, and basically it's the JavaScript front-end framework, and it uses one for us. One important feature, which is two-way data binding. So it uses the MVC architecture. So in the controller, it's all these three layers are on the front end and on the client side. So so if the in the controllers, if we set up some variable and use this variable in the view, these two are bound together, and as soon as one of them is updated, another one is also updated. So what this means in reality, I will show right now. I'll share the screen. I'll just change the branch. Okay. I'll sign up to the OpenStack. Signing. And here you can see that the status of the provider applications as soon as I log in, hopefully. You'll see that the status will be updated after a while. I hope that it was visible. So the thing what is happening here is that our view contains the AngularJS directives, which are where I'm setting these variables, which is the application status right now. But the thing is here, what I'm doing here is that I am rendering the view with Rails. It renders the whole application of the list of these applications, and then I'm doing another request for all the applications, and then in each application I'm filtering this JSON response and asking for the status, and that's where the status will update. So basically what we get here is that if we will have this polling, which is doing every 15 seconds, the status will reflect the state, and nothing else changes. Just the state. And the third approach, which is I think the best, and I think we could definitely get to this one. Yeah, I forgot about one important thing about this one. This also works without JavaScript, and it is because the whole list is rendered by Rails. It's not done by JavaScript. So yeah, and I will move on the third example. And you can see that we are seeing your applications are loading, and then we get the list. So what the difference here is that I am loading the page without the provider applications, and after the page is loaded, I'm calling the XHR to the server and asking for these provider applications. And thanks to the AngularJS, as soon as we get this response, it is updated. The view is updated. So, and the difference here is that the AngularJS is taking care of listing all those things, like running in the circle of all the provider applications and listing them one by one. And as soon as I update one of these applications or the status changes, again, it binds only, thanks to this data binding, it updates only the thing that has changed. So I will demonstrate it in a bit later. That as soon as the status change, only thing that changes in the whole page is the status string. And yeah, the issue here is that it uses the JavaScript on the front end. So if I turn the JavaScript off, the XHR request will never happen, and we will never get the provider list of application of the provider, the list of provider applications. Okay, so now some demonstrations. First, I will launch the application. Okay, so here I am going to launch a new instance. I'll pick one. Maybe I can deploy it. Hopefully it will work out that it will be still in build state. Here I'm doing the request again because I refreshed the page, so it needs to get fetch this again. Yeah, so here you can see that the application is still in build state, and if I had this 15 seconds refresh interval set, it would automatically refresh as soon as there's this within 15 seconds. It will get a response and it will update. Right now I have still to do it manually, but it's not a big deal right now. So I click on the refresh, on this refresh link, and it will send the request. So it's like one of these 15 seconds intervals just happens. I click right now, and user just uses the page whatever he chooses, and then as soon as the request is coming back, it will update the state. Yeah, so right now I don't have the. You can see that the uptime is not correct, and I also don't have the destroy or delete button working in this example. So I will ask Jaromir to quit one of them.
Don't you want to do search?
Yeah, okay. So we have 3 of them. Okay. So I'll get back to this, and I can show you that as I have this list here, it's really easy to do filtering or sorting of this list, and this is done by a really I would say no JavaScript lines and just a few changes in the, or just two bindings in the view. That's what all the functionality of this sorting brings. So as I start typing, like it will search in the application names. So if I write application 2, it should display just the application. So I'm typing application. You can see that the app has been just furthered out. And as soon as I type 2, it gets updated. So you can see this is done everything is done client side, so it's really fast. Okay, and now I have some basic sorting here, so I can sort the applications by name or by state, which is not changing at all. So yeah. And let me, Jaromir, please delete one of the applications.
Okay. I send the request. And I got the response that it's deleted.
Okay, so right now, again, if I refresh, it just updates what is necessary, and I will get the list with just 2 items, and that's it. And I think we can base on this with many features like the deleting pop-ups and whatever comes to my mind. So I think this is pretty nice, and I think it's I would be really for sacrificing the non-JS functionality as this is the front-end application, and it's meant to be used by the end users, and I think it's and most modern applications and which are supposed to be pretty and fast are working with the JavaScript on the client side. Yeah. So if you want to know more on Angular, it has really nice website with documentation and examples, and also there's going to be a Rails cast, I think tomorrow on Angular and AngularJS running with Rails. So basically, what I would like to get to is that we will have the Rails application, which is and its controllers are responding with the JSON, and this JSON is taken by the MVC structure of AngularJS, and the whole UI is done with AngularJS. I think we can get to this point like step by step, and I think it could really work out and make in the end make stuff really fast and easy.
So a couple questions. First of all, that looks really cool. But does this work with the mobile approach? Will those two things kind of gel together?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it should.
I don't see any obstacle in this approach to make it not working. Of course, that there are some limitations that if the list will contain like 1,000 items, it will get really slow because there's a lot of client-side renderings to do. But that's the normal issue of client-side applications. So we will need to be sure that this list is user-friendly and it's not like 10,000 items in the list, which is not the case of Webpack.
Yeah, and that's also why I suggested that the list should load one by one batch of items and not the whole list at once.
Right, that was going to be the other thing I brought up, was the kind of falls into the searching and sorting. If we do any kind of pagination, then the client-side based searching won't really work, I don't think.
Yeah, I have been thinking about this too today, and if we will introduce the pagination, which means client-side pagination, sorry, server-side pagination, which is what we want basically. This will involve the search and the sorting. I'm not sure about sorting, but I think search will involve the request for the server too. So if we search, then it means send a request for the server, which makes it kind of slow, yeah. And for the sorting, I think it will work. Well, I think it could work because if you initiate the sorting on the selected list, like 8 items, and then if you save the sorting state, or then you, when you click next page, it goes again to the server with where we can do order by and buy the stuff which is set in this filter. So it could be done.
Okay. Yeah, just, I mean, as long as, I guess a lot of it just comes down to whether we're expecting to get a lot of a lot of instances, you know, whether we're expecting people to start and keep running a bunch of instances, or whether we whether the expectation would be fewer instances, which the client-side searching would be fine for. Other than that, I think it looks really good. I think you know, I like the I personally kind of like the second approach, but you know, the third
That's
one.
why I wanted to start.
Okay.
But I think some issues, like from the implementation point, the second example took me much more time than the third one, because in the third one I did just Angular repeat this for me several times, whatever times, but I had to combine these two together, like Rails list, let the Rails do the list, and then I had this collection which I had to which for every item I have to filter this collection, which is the JSON responses collection of the provider items or provider applications. So for every item I have to do this filter and filter just for the one with the correct ID. So it will probably make it a little bit slower on the client side, but I couldn't see it any difference. But
it sounds like implementation-wise, it just made it more.
Yeah, it's up to us to decide whether we want to use the Angular just as a replacement of the jQuery, or use it as a whole and pull it in and use it without the front end of Rails. Yeah, I completely forgot about one important thing about AngularJS, that it uses the Hamilton. You can use whatever templates you want. You can use HTML, you can use HAML. It doesn't matter. You just add these bindings straight into the HTML or HAML. So you don't need any templates at all, like opposite to the other frameworks. So this is a really nice feature, I think.
Yeah, well, let's go with the third option then for now, and see how that plays out. I think, you know, a lot of it's just going to come down to again, the size of the data sets. If they stay fairly reasonable, then I think this would be great.
Yeah, I'll second that. I like the third approach, and also from user experience, that it's client side, it's faster and you get faster responses. So I really like the third approach. I was just getting to the issues with Node.js, if we should keep this approach or not, because without JS it will not work at all. And I think it was you who was pointing out that we need to keep this approach. and it was because of some governmental restrictions in the US. I'm not very sure how it works or not, so I think...
Who cares about the U.S.?
Well, there are a lot of our potential users, I guess. But as Jirka said, I think that JavaScript is pretty common stuff right now lately, and I don't think that just being restricted because of user doesn't use JavaScript should stop us. So I would vote that we need JavaScript for the application, and we don't have to keep the non-JavaScript way.
Okay, so I will continue. I'll finish the third example, and I will bring all the features we have there right now and make them in Angular regarding this list. And then I will create a pull request, and we can decide what's next. And I
Sounds
think
good.
we can iterate on this. It doesn't have to be like straight. Let's change it right now. We can do it step by step. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, that's right. You like it?
That was pretty cool. I like that. Greg, I had one more potential item. Do we want to do any item for Delta Cloud in this release, at least under planning?
Nothing that I think we need to track. I think that at best it'll be some kind of offline conversations with them just to see where they are with their state tracking stuff they want to add to Delta Cloud. If they get to that point, then we can. I think right now, I think what Ludercourt was saying was that they've talked about it, and it's not really. There's definitely no code written or anything. They have a little bit of documentation describing what they might want to do with the state tracking. So I don't want to really tie anything to our schedule to what they might get done sometime soon. Though Hugh was saying he's going to try to throw, I think, Jan Pravosnik at it, and who else? Wojtek, maybe. So we'll see. I know those two guys can probably knock it out pretty quick if they get their hands on it. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think it's worth tying anything in our schedule to it.
Okay. Another question. In this more something I'm guessing for future release. Do you guys think that something like a delayed job is something that would be appropriate for WingMonkey? Because delayed launches.
Sorry again, please.
Delayed launches like the stuff Brian's been working on, because I mean it strikes me that one thing that WingMonkey does is it creates its own workflow, right? It creates a standard workflow for multiple providers, and it seems to me that being able to provide additional practical workflows might be a good enhancement in WingMonkey. So I was just thinking of what other workflows there are, and delayed launch was one of them.
Would this be on the WingMonkey side, or does the provider has to support it?
I think it would be on the WingMonkey side.
Mm-hmm. So it would mean that we have to add a delay job, then have some cron jobs or cron job that could run the task in the background, or
right. So I don't know if this is something that would be appropriate for WingMonkey. I thought it might be, but I was kind of curious what people thought.
Honestly, from my point of view, I think it's really useful feature.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I don't know if we should support that if the provider does not because we already said that we need, or that we will go in the direction to bring what providers provide and not to add more features. So I think this is just for the discussion if we will add also new features to the WindMonkey, which providers doesn't support.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to, if we depend on the provider, then we would just it would mean that we would have to just do the launch workflow as usual, and then just the user would, in the form, he would set the date when it should launch, and then we would have to take or track the states that it's supposed to be launched. It would create an item in the list, and it would track it that it should be launched at this time, and then the automatic updates would update it as soon as it is launched. So this would depend on the provider.
Yeah, if provider supports that, it's just about adding new state and adding new items to the form while launching. But if provider doesn't support it, I think it's much more complicated.
This was also one of the things that I was kind of trying to toss over the wall to Delta Cloud as well, to say if Delta Cloud eventually, one, they're talking about supporting state, so it might be nice to try to tie into them eventually. If they can handle state tracking and monitoring, that might be really nice to tie into. And then if they also have to support like a delayed launch concept, which they're talking about for another provider anyway, if they have a native support for that, then it might be nice to also say, hey, here's something else you might want to handle for us. But it also means, we start tying some of our features and functionality to Delta Cloud, a completely separate service that we haven't even talked about up until this point.
Yeah, that sounds. That's right. I saw you guys talking about the Delta Cloud thing. I completely missed that. But yeah, you're right. Delta Cloud could in theory support that. Okay. If we're going along that, if we're definitively going along the path of working with Delta Cloud, is that something? Does Delta Cloud support Overt, for example? Like, is that something that we would want to try and do for this release? If we're going down that path anyway, or do you think that's something that can be delayed?
That's a good question.
I'm fine with delaying it because I don't think it'd be that hard to integrate over without Delta Cloud. But
I kind of feel like we should go ahead and do the overt support on our own initially, and then only pull in Delta Cloud when we absolutely need to have some of those features. It doesn't feel right right now to try to tie this to a second service that needs to run. That's the thing I've always felt was kind of that there's with Conductor having needing to have several other services around it to support it. Makes it kind of difficult to set up from scratch. It would be nice if we can go a little bit longer without needing to have separate services.
Hey. Sounds good.
Well, I'm not expert in this field, but I agree with Greg on this approach.
Cool.
Well, we've gone over an hour. But I think we got a lot done. I think we got, with all the milestone planning and the 2 demos, I think this was really good. I'll make sure this gets posted out, and Angus and Hugh can be equally impressed with the demos. I'll point them to the right time so they can skip all the other garbage we talked about at the beginning.
Okay.
All right.
Cool, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.